Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Kelvin here. So, if you have ever met with an insurance agent before, you will most likely hear about something called savings plan. Maybe he will tell you that it's a good plan to save and invest your money, and you'll be like, oh wow, so good ah. Meanwhile, you are still blur, but you still went and sign up anyway because you are super paiseh and don't want to reject people. Then after you went home and Google about savings plan, you found out that everyone hates it. Like this guy, no, right out there. You'll definitely regret it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. That's when you knew you fucked up. So in this video, I will explain what's a savings plan, what are the pros and cons of a savings plan. Then I will tell you whether savings plan is good for you or not. And for those who have a savings plan, I will also tell you whether you should keep holding to it or just cut it. But before I start, I would greatly appreciate it if you can help to tap the like button. In return, I will show you a super white turtle. Alright, let's start right now. So, what's a savings plan? Basically, a savings plan is a plan that lets you save money lor. Duh! I'll just show you an example so that you can understand it easier. This is a savings plan. Then you'll be like, wow, that's a lot of numbers. But don't scared. It's not as complicated as it looks. Let me explain. Here, we can see that the annual premium or the amount that the guy needs to pay every year is about $40,000. This plan lasts for 10 years and he started this plan at age 35. If you look at the total premiums paid, in the first year it's 40k, second year 80k, and he only need to pay up to the 5th year 200k. After that, he doesn't have to pay anymore. In a typical savings plan, there's guaranteed and non-guaranteed portion. So guaranteed means that you will confirm plus chop get back this money. In this case, it is 189k. Then the non-guaranteed part depends on how well the investment performed. If the investment went to the moon, you'll get more money in the non-guaranteed portion. But if the investment doesn't do well, you'll get lesser money. The one thing that many people will get confused about is the projected return. Here, they will show you the projected 3.25% return and 4.75% return. That is just to show you how much you will get if the investment gave a 3.25% return or a 4.75% return. But it's not guaranteed return. Okay, yeah? So that's a quick overview of how savings plan work. Now, here's a big question. Why do so many people hate savings plan? There are two main reasons. First, a savings plan gives super duper low returns. So if you look back at the example, if you hold to maturity, you will have paid a total of 200k. Then, assuming a 3.25% return, you'll get a total of 224k in the end. Did you got a 3.25% return? Well, yes, but no. It's not your real return because you are topping up money over a few years. So, to calculate your return, you will need to use XIRR or Extended Internal Rate of Return. When I put the numbers into a calculator, I found out that the real return will be just 1.4%, which is super duper low. I wasn't able to find any official data regarding savings plan returns. But what I did found was an article by Keith from Investment Moats. He got the data from his viewers, and here's the result. There's a total of 19 savings plans here, all with different duration. I first noticed that the return doesn't correlate at all with the duration. For example, this plan is 18 years. The XIRR is 2.54%. Meanwhile, this plan is 5 years only, but the XIRR is 3.2%. The worst one was a plan that gave negative 11% return. Overall, the normal returns that you can expect from these examples is around 2 to 4%. In the best case scenario, it can even go up to 5.35%. But it's like a super duper rare Pokemon. So it's like what everyone said, low returns. But how come the return is super low? I did some digging and here's what I found. If you go to compare first, then click on any savings plan, like maybe this Great Eastern Life, then product summary. You can see that the investment has a very huge allocation to bonds at 57% and stocks is just 25%. This means you can only expect a low and steady PP return. And sure enough, the 10-year average returns is about 5.51%, which is not too bad, at least it's better than an SIA stock which just kept going down. But like all savings plans, there's an expense ratio. In this case, the expense ratio is 1.6%. But wait, that's not all. I also managed to find data for all the other companies. If we take the average, the 10-year return for all of the companies is around 5%. Different companies charge different expense ratio. with the lowest being NTUC income at 0.83% and highest by ASL Life at 4.84%. So as you can see, the investment has very low return to begin with, and after all of the fees, that's how you end up with a very low return from the savings plan. Now, the second reason why people hate savings plan is because it is very illiquid, meaning you can't get back your money easily. So think of it like a mini CPF, can see but cannot touch. It's like you are at the Din Tai Fung window. You can see people making the xiao long bao, but you cannot eat their xiao long bao. That same feeling. If you really want to get back your money earlier, can, no problem. But you will lose a lot of money. You can wait till your savings plan matures. If the savings plan reaches the end of 10 years, you'll get back a guaranteed 189k and a non-guaranteed amount. Or if you pass away, the savings plan will straight away end and you'll get paid immediately. So that's the death benefit. For example, if you die in the 5th year, you will be paid 189k plus whatever non-guaranteed amount. However, if you don't want to wait for the plan to mature, you can surrender or stop the plan anytime. But you will lose a lot of money. For example, if you surrender during year 3, you will have paid a total of 120k, but you will only get back 70k and any non-guaranteed amount. That means you will lose about 42% of your money if you stop during year 3. Painful, huh? So that's the two main reasons why people hate savings plan: low return and illiquid. Now, since saving plan sounds super duper bad, then there's totally no reason to sign up to it, lor. No lah, there's some very specific scenarios in which savings plan makes sense. But first, you need to understand there's saving and there's investing. This article says it the best. Saving is for the short term, while investing is for longer term. For saving, you are saving the money for use in the near future. Like maybe you are saving money to buy a house in 5 years time, or a wedding with your bee in 2 years time. Some people be like, oh, yeah lor, I want to save money for my retirement 40 years later. It's not a good idea because that's inflation and it will eat up your money. For the past 25 years, the inflation is around 2%. This means your money is losing value 2% every year. That's why you shouldn't just save for retirement because it's super duper inefficient. That's where investment comes in. Let's say if you invest in S&P 500, historically it gave about 10% annualized return. Or if you invest in some world ETF like SWDA, you will get about 11% annualized return. However, if you look at the chart, in some years they can give negative returns because stocks are volatile. But over the long term, like 10 to 20 years, it will likely go up because stonks. So it totally depends what are your goals. If you want to save for something in the short term, like maybe 1 to 5 years time, then probably savings plan makes sense. On the other hand, if you are saving for the long term, like maybe 10 to 20 years, then I feel savings plan is not a good idea because you have a time horizon to overcome market downturns, and by investing, you can get higher returns too. A quick disclaimer, I prefer investing for the long term because I have higher risk tolerance. If you feel you definitely need that amount in the future, like maybe your kids' education, and you have low risk appetite, then the savings plan will probably be a better idea. Besides that, I've also seen people saying that savings plan is good to force you to save if you have trouble saving your money. Personally, I think that's a very lame reason to use savings plan because you have tons of other ways to force yourself to save, like auto-transferring part of your salary into another account every month or by using POSB Invest Saver, stuff like that. But if you have higher risk appetite and you want to try to get a higher return than just a low 2 to 4%, let me share a few alternatives to you. First, bond ETFs. For the safest investments, you can consider investing in bond ETFs. There are two main ones in Singapore. The first one is Nikko M Investment Grade Corporate Bond ETF, which gave about 3% annualized return. It invests in safe corporate and government bonds. Another one is the ABF Singapore Bond Index Fund, which gave 2.56% annualized return. It invests in Singapore government bonds. Then you'll be like, that also give very low return eh? Yes, it gives about the same returns as a savings plan. But the most important thing is, if you ever need the money anytime, you can sell the ETF and get back your money almost immediately. And there's no penalty for doing that. So that's good. If you want even more bond ETFs, the Invest Quest has compiled a list of ETFs that you can choose from, like China government bonds, Asian corporate and government bonds. I will link the article in the description below if you are interested to check them out. Next, if you want slightly higher return and higher risk, you can consider investing through a robo-advisor. That's because in a robo-advisor, you can set the portfolio risk. For example, this is StashAway. If you set it to the lowest risk index, you will have a lot of bonds, and the annualized return is about 3.3%. Or for Saif, if you choose the lowest risk portfolio, Core Defensive, it gave about 5.72% 8 years annualized return. Or for Endowers, very conservative portfolio, you will get about 4.72% 10 years annualized return. All of these are very low risk stuff, and more importantly, you can withdraw the money anytime you want. Now, let's say if you have signed up to a savings plan, should you cut it? You'll be like, but if I cut, I will lose money. It's actually super easy to decide. Do you need the money in the short term or long term? If you need the money in the short term, like buying a house or buying a car, then probably you can just keep it in there because the savings plan can give you predictable returns. But if you don't need the money in the short term, you only need it for the longer term, then personally I feel it's better to cut. Just take the loss like a man or woman and treat it as a lesson fee. That few $1,000s loss may seem a lot now, but over the long term, it is just small money. By investing that money elsewhere, you can get higher returns over the long term. So overall, I feel that savings plan is not entirely bad. Whether it's suitable for you or not totally depends on your goal. But let me know, what do you think? Do you like savings plan or did you regret having it? Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.